Game of the weekend.
Yep.
It lived up to its billing and conversation pieces for sure. Everybody's talking about a Super Bowl preview. Then we heard the Baltimore Ravens all week were feeling disrespected by the 5.5 point underdog situation in Santa Clara on Christmas Day. They said they don't like that. All of us were like, it's not that.
I mean,
the Niners are unstoppable.
Top class.
Hey, don't. I actually said that. I said, I'm picking the Niners against anybody. I love the Baltimore Ravens. I've been one of the biggest Baltimore Ravens fans, I think, publicly for a very long time. Not only because what I think about Lamar Jackson and that offense kind of coming together, but also because, real home field advantage there. Mm-hmm. If they get it, actual home field advantage. So I'm a massive fan of them. I just thought that the Niners were unstoppable. Yep. I thought they were unbeatable. Mm-hmm. Now, I know they've lost the game. Everybody has. But they've looked now how they looked last year going into playoffs, which is a buzzsaw. If it wasn't for what happened against Philadelphia Eagles in the first quarter where they ended up being in a position where they couldn't even throw a pass in a game, that's tough. That's a tough thing. In a professional football game, not even being able to attempt a forward pass, that's tough. Now, it happening in the biggest game of the year, also tough. It happening away at a different place with a team that shit talks and everything, also different and very good. Mm-hmm. So the Niners had to sit on that all year. They're all the way back. They're rolling. They're the team. No way they lose to the Baltimore Ravens. Well, this Baltimore Ravens team is a bunch of dogs.
Yeah.
So good.
Holy hell. What they were able to accomplish over there. Mm-hmm. Okay, not at home. Which certainly an advantage, and I would like to see Brock Purdy. We saw him in Cleveland. I would like to see him in Baltimore to see how it goes, although nice weather.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Very nice.
Everybody's talking about the lack of snow. Nice weather. Not too shabby there. I would like to see that. Instead, they go into Santa Clara, and they just bully them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They just beat them up.
Kill them.
Now, granted, Brock Purdy had a couple bad picks. Couple incredibly unlucky picks. Kyle Hamilton is 6'4". Let's never forget that. He's 16 yards off the ball here. He will also make plays up near the line of scrimmage and into backfield. This dude is everywhere. He's an absolute stud. Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, dogs at the linebacker position. That one could have bounced literally anywhere in the 53 and the 30 except for where it did. And it's not an interception. What a game changer. But the Baltimore Ravens made it happen. That was an incredible play by them. There was another deflection for an interception that Brock Purdy threw. And you think to yourself, well, this guy's unlucky. Well, a lot of people have gotten unlucky against the Baltimore Ravens. You know why? Number one defense in the league.
Yep.
Number one defense in the league. You talk about Lamar Jackson being the favorite for the MVP right now. It's like, okay, probably not going to get it because of stats. That's just reality of the situation. But the reality of the situation is Lamar does not care. Lamar just talks about winning. Lamar negotiated his deal this past offseason only had one mindset. I want to win a Super Bowl. He already has an MVP. The defense signed. Special teams, solid.
Right.
And the offense has weapons all over the place, and they're only getting better. D-Butch, this Ravens team, they're the team. They're obviously, we're overreacting. That's what we do.
Of course.
But once you start looking into the Baltimore Ravens, you start looking back at some of the wins they've had, how they win, how they go about handling their business, and then that culture. We talk about culture. That Ravens culture has been set for a long time. They have a lot of chips on their shoulder, obviously, because everything that's said about everybody on that team seemingly all the time, likely, well, he's not going to be good as Mark Andrews. It's like, he is.
Yeah.
He has turned into being a great outlet for Lamar, and we can't wait to see them both on the field, especially in this brand new offense. Then you think about Odell Beckham Jr. came to the team. Mm-hmm. He's getting the ball. Now he's got those Christmas cleats on. Yep. Those are the story of the night. But he's blocking downfield. Gus Edwards has 12 touchdowns. It's like this team's the real deal. And once you start diving in, I think a lot of people are doing that on this particular Tuesday, D-Butch.
Yeah, I mean, I was on this squad from the beginning. I believe in this team. And coming into this week, I told you they were the top 5 on both sides of the ball, just like the Dolphins were. But, I mean, this is a team decimated by injuries somewhat earlier in the season on both sides of the ball, had some slight fracture in the offseason when Lamar was trying to get his deal done with the kind of some things you never see from the Ravens culture, some players speaking out, some things going on. Then they get that figured out, and then they just hit the ground rolling. Todd Monken, his first year as an OC. Mike McDonald, his second year as a DC now with some issues early last year, but they figured it out. And you mentioned Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. With Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, I feel like these are the two units where you got legit off-ball backers, kind of throwback backers who are 3-down backers, don't have to take them off the field for passing situations, running situations, absolute dogs. And then on offense, they can win any type of football game. If they got to drop back and throw the ball around like they did against the Lions, they can do that. If they got to run and win some ugly ones, they can do that as well. So just a bunch of dogs on that team. And it's one of those teams also who they're listening to what's being said outside. They're stacking chips. They're all looking at Lamar every week like, yo, you mentioned it last week. Like, how aren't more people talking about this guy? Why isn't he getting talked about in prime time more and things like that? You mentioned the stats. When you watch him play, he's just electric, and he's a game changer. You see that on the field week in and week out. And in his defense, I think you talked about Kyle Hamilton, the linebackers, not a lot of household names in that secondary outside of those guys, but they play well as a unit, man. I love watching this team play.
Yeah, I enjoy watching the Ravens. I think that was my big takeaway from last week whenever they're in primetime is how do we not have more Ravens primetime games?
Yes.
We hit this lull every single year. These schedule makers seem to get it right. We got great games coming up and everything is on the matter. We appreciate that. They got big brains. They're using AI now.
Mm-hmm. Smart.
We know they're using AI now.
Yeah.
But it feels like let's not AI or overthink this. You put Lamar Jackson on primetime, it's going to be entertaining. Every single play is electrifying, even whenever refs can't backpedal.
What are we doing?
Everybody did have the same thoughts about that Niners-Ravens game, though. Yep. Even Aaron alluded to it. He was like, hey, the Niners are really the only team we all thought. Everybody thought, hey, they're a little bit of a wagon. That team's a buzzsaw. You don't want to play them. The Ravens heard that. 5.5-point underdogs. They said that was disrespectful. Now we understand why they were saying that. This team has been consistently dominant. Yeah, they haven't been perfect, okay? Brand new OC, have had to figure some things out, had some tight games, had a loss to the Colts, I believe, in there. They got that guy who's a freak show is Zay Flowers, but also this feels like a much more season-ready Lamar Jackson. Has the big deal, has the MVP, has an offense he likes, has weapons he likes, has a number one defense in the NFL. It's like, why not the Ravens after watching last night? And how pumped were we all, AJ, that they reminded the world that everybody doubted them because they were the only ones that believed in them, I think, last night, AJ. That's the best place to be for a coach.
Oh, no question. Watching them play, I guess, especially go on the road and get a big win like this, like you saw how excited and pumped they were. I mean, it's real. Like, the motivation is real. When people doubt you, when people publicly talk about your team and you take it, like, and you think that's offensive and how they are speaking about you, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of power in that. I feel like this team, it brings them together. Like, the more people may dump on them from the outside, the more it brings this whole squad together. And obviously Lamar is just so dynamic, does things that nobody else can do. And, man, they are – credit to their defense, though, as well. Their D-line, man, they got a lot of – even though they didn't get a ton of sacks, they get a bunch of pressure, I feel like, and Brock Purdy was never comfortable.
That's always available right there, that one. You know what I mean? That play is always available.
How tired are you? How tired is the whole – like, his defense when you're chasing this guy? Like, every single play is – a full-speed sprint in 35 different directions if you're trying to tackle this guy.
Yeah, go back. Rewind 1 second.
Steve Wilkes mentioned it, too. He was like, Lamar Jackson's one of those two-play quarterbacks. Like, you got to guard the first play, and they were probably in great position initially, whatever quarters, cover through, whatever it is. And now, now it's time for the second play, the backyard ball. And, Aaron mentioned it with Josh. You do want to see some more on-time, on-rhythm throws. You don't want him to have to be great down after down, but when he does pull it down and just tuck it and run, it's special every time it seems.
And he avoids taking the big hit, which is huge. He'll even cut, juke, get more yardage, even maybe take a little bit of contact, but avoids the big hit. That's a trait. That's a skill. Yep. You're talking about how tired somebody is. Look at old buddy in the back here. 98 there. He's about to fall over on his face. And I can understand why. It would get exhausting. And remember what Bosa and that D-line said about the Philadelphia Eagles. They said, we hope everybody watches what we did and kind of do what we did against Philadelphia Eagles because home field advantage was still on the line for the NFC. I thought they were going to have a great plan for Lamar. I don't know if those exist.
No.
I don't know if those exist, actually, legitimately.
Yeah, how could they? Like, you cannot simulate that. There's no way you can put a wide receiver at quarterback. You can't simulate what he can do. And I'm never going to say, like, they embarrassed anyone. But when was the last time we saw Fred Warner flying around and Zay Flowers is making a cut or Lamar's making a cut? And, I mean, they got guys like Nelson Aguilar scoring touchdowns. It's not like Lamar is going out there. We're talking about, Mahomes and how he's throwing to nobody. Lamar Jackson's got Aguilar, a backup tight end, who's a stud, likely a rookie wide receiver, and then Rashad Bateman. It's not as
and Odell Beckham Jr.
Of course, and Odell Beckham Jr. Of course, but this time of year, a lot of parties. Who knows what he's doing in his free time? Just kidding. But still,
great Sully.
Either way, like they are the class now. it seems like. And if Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson continue to have this connection, because he had 9 for 75 in the tud, no one could cover him. And this is a week after what? Mooney last week, right? Had that pick 6 where he was moving a million miles an hour. It's not like they don't have guys that can cover. They do. It's just like these Ravens across the board, offensive line, because they handled the D-line pretty well, probably better than any other team. And then the receivers and running backs. I mean, shit, J.K. Dobbins is their starting running back. He tore his Achilles. Like,
talking about Harbaugh, coach of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Harbaugh coach of the year? Yeah. Is that what we're doing here? Because he brings in a new offense. He he has to make a decision. He publicly put the team in a situation where they had to pay Lamar.
Yeah. Love that.
So, we love that. Absolutely love that. So it's like, should Harbaugh be in the conversation a little bit more for coach of the year?
I mean, they should definitely get more respect, but he's been there so long, having a former MVP like Lamar and then all these studs.
They were favorites in the division.
Yeah, I can't believe they got Roquan Smith. Like, that was crazy. That is a Raven.
Had a baby, CD baby!
Yeah.
But you get him there, so he probably won't get that. And obviously what Shane's doing down here, I know we got coming off an ugly loss. What Shane's doing, D'Amico.
The Browns.
Even,
the Browns
even
have
Dan
more
Campbell,
people hurt.
Browns,
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. I mean, I think all these guys should be in consideration.